What's going on, everybody? Look, Officer Brandon Tatum has been out here running a whole narrative trying to convince people that the backlash against him is just political. He wants you to believe folks are mad simply because he's a black conservative who went down to Mississippi to do interviews and play the neutral, objective journalist in the Nolan Wells case.
Assumed friends the way they did. Brandon Tatum is a lightning rod. Why? Black guy who talks conservative politics, black guy who supports the president, black guy who is not open to the idea that in Nolan Wells, it's got to be about race. Went to Mississippi, had interviews that definitely shed light on who we're dealing with here and what's going on. So I asked Brandon Tatum to come back to talk about the response to what he learned, what he now knows that he can share with us, and what he believes the state of play is.
But that whole story completely falls apart once you actually look at what just got exposed. The truth is, people aren't upset over his political views. They're calling him out because he's been compromised from day one. And now there's undeniable proof sitting right in plain sight. For weeks, Tatum has been doubling down, claiming he's just a truth seeker getting attacked by emotional critics and celebrities like D.L. Hughley.
Tatum, thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
How has the reporting that you did in Mississippi and the interviews that you did, how has it been received?
It depends on what group of people you're referring to. I think that for rational people that, in my opinion, want to know the truth and they're open-minded, I think it was received very well. They got access to information that wasn't privy to the public. Obviously, law enforcement has this information already, but information that people who are interested in finding the truth wanted to hear from these young boys and their account, and they can make their decision from there. It was received very well. People are thankful, very thankful that I took the time to interview these young boys, and they got a little more clarity. When it comes to majority black community, some of the celebrities, D.L. Hughley and others, they absolutely me. They think I'm Satan, and they think that I my mama, who's black, just because I decided to interview people who asked me to interview them. And I don't know how people have conflated what I have done in this interview or in this process, but they have. And this is not abnormal. When you're black in America and you don't toe the line of where, quote unquote, the black community wants you to, then you're deemed an uncle. You somehow people and you somehow working for the white man, which is furthest from the truth, man. I love everybody. I don't care nothing about race. It's pointless to think about race. I treat people based on their character, based on their integrity, based on what they present to me, and that's the end of the story.
Why do you think members of the black, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Celebrity community, whatever it is, black people whose names we know, why do you think that they come at you that way? You think it's about your politics, or do you think that they are worried about something that you're not showing enough concern about in their estimation?
No, a lot of these people are ignorant. They're brainwashed and emotional.
He keeps parroting this idea that black media platforms refuse to sit down with the young men involved or give them a fair shake. But let's be real for a second. Independent creators literally reached out to schedule interviews, and Tatum ducked the conversation. Nobody was refusing to cover the story. Creators just weren't going to hand over soft, puff piece interviews. People wanted real answers, not a walkthrough dialogue designed to clean up reputations.
Them are addressing actual things that I said and actual processes that I went through to interview. They do not care about the truth, or many of them would have interviewed me and just asked me what happened and what did I do. None of them, even those who claim to be journalists, did not give an opportunity to the other side for the other side to have a voice. They did not. And the reason why is because they're white. And a lot of them actually white people. And they act like they don't. Listen to their rhetoric. Listen to the things that they've said in the past. They white people internally. And so when a topic comes up like this and there's an opportunity to paint white people with a broad brush, they take advantage of it. And I've seen it over the years. I've seen it growing up. I used to white people when I was growing up. That's just a part of the culture. And unfortunately, it rears its ugly head as soon as one of these incidents happen. And you've seen it time and time again. Go look at the comment section. How does young men who we don't really have any evidence that committed a crime, how do they get painted as criminals? How do they get painted as being responsible for the death of a person that was considered their friend? If the roles were reversed.
Now here is where the smoking gun comes into play. If you watch Tatum's content, you know he owns and runs his own alcohol brand called Verdict Bourbon. It's his company, his label, his business. Recently, Tyler Cox, the attorney representing the very individuals connected to the Nolan Wells case, went on a massive national media press tour. He pulled up on show after show, pulling in hundreds of thousands of views. And if you look closely at his background setup, it tells you everything you need to know. On one side, Cox has his law firm's hat carefully positioned to plug his practice, and directly opposite of that, a bottle of Verdict Bourbon strategically displayed right over his shoulder. Think about how wild that is. A high-profile attorney worth millions doesn't accidentally feature a specific liquor brand during major television appearances. That is deliberate product placement. That is active cross-promotion. How can Brandon Tatum pretend to be a neutral, unbiased voice interviewing key figures when the legal defense team for those same people is actively running promos for his private business? That is a clear conflict of interest, plain and simple. Once you realize that business is being conducted behind the scenes, everything else Tatum has been doing starts making complete sense. It explains why his tone shifted so aggressively toward Nolan Wells' mother, Christine. He went on massive rants accusing her of being uncooperative with law enforcement and claiming she was withholding evidence like cell phones. Yet reports confirmed the police never even asked for those phones in the first place. He was spreading outright fabrications to discredit a grieving mother while claiming he was just asking the tough questions. You can't play the role of an objective mediator while quietly benefiting from business connections linked to the case. It undermines the entire investigation and disrespects everyone looking for real clarity. What do you all think about this setup with Tyler Cox and Verdict Bourbon? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. If you want to see how another major situation collapsed overnight, click the video showing up on your screen right now. I'll catch you over there.
Everything we know about these boys, we know because he told us. Officer Tatum told us, right?
Right.
He told us what they said. He told us they had a conversation. It's always been on his platform. I hope he isn't the kind of that's probably the reason he was only a police officer for 5 or 6 years, because a police officer's job is to try to get answers, not to shape a result.
Right.
And he clearly does not want the truth. And if it is the truth, if it isn't the truth he wants, he'd rather besmirch it and diminish it. And I don't know, and I'll say out flatly, I don't know what happened in Mississippi, but I do know that those boys have a vested interest in protecting themselves and what they have going on. They were better friends to themselves and their reputations and to their legacy than they were to Nolan. And Tatum is a grifter. He's a grifter. This is his thing right now. This is what he's doing right now. And don't tell me you love a black mother when you're doing this to another black mother. Like, the reason that, like, he'll say he's holding people accountable. In order to hold people accountable, you have to have an affinity for those people. You have love, like the biblical proverb, the biblical saying, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." It is to make that child better. It is a corrective. It is the spirit of discipline because I love you. Tatum has no love for black people. I can't ever look at all the litany of things he said. So how are you correcting us when everything you do demonizes us? Everything you do otherizes us. Everything you do says, when you talk about black on black crime, you talk about not in some kind of, because crime is about proximity. It isn't that way. It's a level of deviancy that is specifically inherent to us. And you help he talks about us the way white people with the greatest level of disdain talk about us. I've never heard him not think we were wrong.